Hello, Lorna.
Hello.
So very happy to welcome you to This is England Short Film Festival.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's a great pleasure. So, Lorna Riley, you are the writer of a film that we had the pleasure to watch yesterday, which is called Opening Up. And before we start talking about your role as a writer, I'd like you to tell us very quickly about the story of this film.
So Opening Up is a story of a woman who's in her early 50s who has, without giving anything away, who is getting back on the saddle in terms of dating again.
All right. So it's a very moving love story, I think. Okay, so without spoiling, okay, I won't say more. What was quite interesting is the development, and I was very surprised to hear that in fact your film was first designed to be shorter.
Yes.
And so can you explain a little bit about the process of writing that you had to go through to finally achieve that result?
So originally I'd seen a competition called Centre Frame, and the competition was about getting it made, and they were asking for 5-page scripts. So I had something which I'd written previously, and I thought I'd take a scene out of that and play around with it and make it into a complete beginning, middle and end. And through that process, I then submitted it to the competition, got in, and then developed it with the director once I met him through the competition. Ozar Shad, hello. And we worked on it together. So once we got the funding, we had a bit more wiggle room, so we could add more into the story rather than trying to cram everything into those 5 minutes. Yeah.
To make it clear for everyone, when you've got 5 pages, it means that you've got 5 minutes of film.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So that's very, very good to know that at first your film was supposed to be shorter. So it means that you added up a few scenes.
Yes.
So the first scene, we talked about it, you were, as the filmmaker, the director, was forced to change slightly what you had written because there was a question of authorization to shoot in a public space.
Yes, was it? Yes. So, as is always the way with any kind of filmmaking, is that you will come across problems. So during the filming, we had an issue where we had authorization, but that changed in terms of using the communal spaces. So in the stairs we had planned to incorporate into the story, and when we found that wasn't going to be the case, we had to problem solve, and the team were brilliant, and really came together on that one, and it was decided that we would film outside and show them walking through the streets and show the gradual progression through from the kind of the posher area where they'd started out to a slightly less posh area, through following their feet through the streets.
Yeah, so it's very funny. Short film making is always the victim of things like this, but sometimes it's for the better, I think, and this is for the better because we've got quite a surprise at the end of this scene, and I think it adds up to the questions that you ask after the film. So I won't say more about it, but it's very interesting and surprising when it happens. About the writing process, because we're lucky enough to have a writer in front of us, it's very interesting because you have experience too in writing novels.
Yes.
So here is script writing. Can you tell us about the difference in terms of writing first, and then in terms of the actual work being done, because it's not exactly the same environment.
No, not at all. So, when I first started writing, it never occurred to me that I might be able to start writing for films and TV. So I just automatically thought novels would be the way forward. And it's such a long and lonely process doing it that way. And I am, having done my masters during lockdown, my screenwriting masters, I then it's been such a wonderful change because I love collaborating with people. I love bouncing ideas off. You know, working with Oz on the script was just, you know, it was such a wonderfully creative process. And even when problems happen, and other people bring suggestions on, because there was a point where the costume designer asked a question, and we were like, that's a really good point. And so that was really close to shooting, where we went, actually, we can just play around with it. And because it was actually her that suggested that she have tried to, I don't want to give anything away. I just realised I was going to give it. Yeah. But anyway, she made a suggestion, and we were like, "That's a great idea," and so we incorporated it into the script, and it only made it better for it.
Yeah, because I had in mind something else too, but I can't say it otherwise.
No. Yeah, exactly.
It's difficult to talk about film.
It is.
Sure. So yeah, but when you write novels, I mean, you've got a publisher to help you.
That's true. Well, that's true once you reach a certain stage. So, and with my novels, that was another thing, is that I kept, once you've written it by yourself, you then send it off to agents, and then you have to kind of wait for them to respond, or publishers as well, but there's not so many publishers that will accept unrepresented work being sent through to them. So it was always like, spend all this time writing a novel, you know, getting some response from agents, asking for the full, then considering it, and then it being a no. And I'd gone through that process a few times, and, you know, getting a few more agents each time, but never quite getting there. And so for me, I never reached a stage, because obviously once writers are working with a publishing house, then they get an editor to work with, which is a really great collaborative process. But I never got to that stage.
Well, yes. So, but what's very interesting about your project here is the way you got in touch with the director. Can you tell us about the process? Because I think it's very interesting, and it puts the writer in a very strong position. Yeah,
so Centre Frame, they're a really kind of new community of, so they had funding for the competition. This was in 2022. The competition has changed slightly now, but the way that it was set up is that the writers, directors and producers submit their work. They choose a shortlisted number of people, and then there was a mixer, so the writers were able to then meet with the producers and directors in a bit of a sort of speed dating situation, and then we would discuss the script itself, and so we were then in a position as writers to choose the people that we wanted to work with.
Yeah, and so there was no question about who.
Oh, okay. No, it was always, it had to be Oz, yeah. I mean, obviously there were brilliant directors, so many brilliant directors, and it was wonderful to be in that position where, you know, talking to them all, but it was Oz's kind of, I always feel like when someone really loves a script and they're really engaged with it, that's the point where they're going, how about this, how about that? So even though there were some directors that said they thought it was perfect and didn't need changing, there was part of me that was like, is that really true? Yeah. So, but when Oz was like making his suggestions, I was like, yes, definitely, that's a great idea. I want to go in that direction.
Yeah. All right. So in the process of writing, I've always wondered whether, is it something that starts from you? As say you've got ideas and you will start writing scripts, and then you will send them away to producers, hoping that it will catch people's eye, or is it more often producers asking for ideas? Yeah. So how does it work?
So sometimes, I mean, at the stage that I'm at now, it's more me coming up with ideas and then kind of sending them off to people and seeing what kind of catches people's imagination. But I do sometimes have conversations with people where they're like, fancy writing this or fancy writing that. Yeah. I've worked with production companies writing showreel scripts, for example, for actors. So then that would be more of a writing to brief situation where they would say the actor wants a scene like this, and then I'd go away and write it and then send it off.
And so in terms of your own ideas, is it a very diverse
I mean, generally speaking, the space that I like my stories to kind of sit in are the comedy drama. Sometimes more comedy, sometimes more drama, but usually somewhere nicely, sweetly in the middle, which is a bit complicated for competitions, I find. So with festivals, so there's usually a comedy award, which we're not quite comedy enough for. And then the kind of more standard awards, usually like they want something that's more drama-y. So we find that sometimes we fall between two stools, but we've done really well, I think, with the audience awards, and to me that's what means the most.
Good. Yeah. And well, it allows you to explore, I mean, human feelings too. I mean, the fact is that it's never just laughter or just tears. It's a bit of both. So and
I'm the kind of person who'd rather laugh about something than cry about it. But also I find that from a storytelling point of view that comedy opens people up that bit. So then when it comes to like the real heart of the story, that I find that it hits home more than if it was just pure drama. For me.
Yeah, well, comedy makes you think. You know?
I think so.
Drama is more, you know, some kind of reaction to what you feel unfair, or And so, any plan for the future in terms of? Have you written a script for a feature film, for instance, or have you started writing it?
I generally, for longer form, I tend to go towards TV than feature. So, because if I do want to explore something more, then suddenly my brain's like, and I have this huge lot of ideas about the ways that it could potentially go. So yeah, TV tends to be where my creative juices flow to.
Do you mean series or?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So is it really the new thing for script writers? Because I know that in France too, I mean, you've got pools of writers now trying to collaborate to try to grasp all the series going on.
Yeah, so that's the thing with writers' rooms, that I do like that idea, because again, it's people collaborating together. So that is an environment I would love to find myself in, for sure.
Right, there's very high demand for series at the moment with all the platforms, maybe.
Yeah. Well, yes, things have kind of fizzled out lately for everybody, for writers included. But yes. That's hopefully I'm touching wood.
And so writing for series, is it very different? Because I think you've got time to explore more of the psychology of the characters.
Yes.
So is it something that there's some special technique, I say, when you write for a series, or because short film, I mean, of course, it's very dense.
It is, and I love short film. I love writing it and just kind of trying to get that snapshot of life, but still getting the structure in there of the beginning, middle and end, but really kind of exploring that moment in someone's life, but then expanding it out, because Oz and I have worked on a pilot of Opening Up script, so if you're interested.
Good. All right. Okay, well, thank you very much, and once again, invite everybody to watch your film on the big screen. Of course, much better than watching.
I agree. Yeah.
And so, I hope I see you again in a while in the years to come, and you keep writing for short films.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.